Of the AMA Motocross Series from Broome Tioga Sports Center in Binghamton, New York. It's a near-perfect day as the riders and the mechanics discussing things before our first 125 moto. As you can see, we've got very good weather conditions, only 20% chance of showers this afternoon. The 125s have a long history here at Broome Tioga. Every year they've run here since 1980. Only Sacramento has one more 125 race than this track.
And here it is, looking at the map, you see the start over there, still a concrete start, always has been. The rest of the track's basically the same, but a new feature this year, they invested in some equipment that also picks up rocks while they disc it. A lot of elevation here. This is the biggest downhill. Take a look at it at speed. You come up over the top of the hill, your fourth gear wide open. That goes through a little valley, then drops down again. Probably the highest speed area on the racetrack. Very difficult to get stopped at that corner at the bottom.
Ricky Carmichael, looking to win his third consecutive 125 title today, is in our Suzuki starting grid along with VOHLAND, Way, Casey Lytle. There you see Brock Sellards, the only rider who hasn't been mathematically eliminated from the 125 championship. But Ricky Carmichael needs to pick up only 2 more points on Brock Sellards to win that third consecutive crown and join the illustrious company of Brock Glover and Mark Barnett, the only other two to win 3 125 titles in their career. The track is in great condition here at Broome Tioga. A 40-rider field for the 125s are getting all set to go in the opening moto of the day. Fans are not only wanting to see if Ricky Carmichael can get back his winning ways, but also see if RONCADA can continue his improvement since his injury. And Nick Way, of course, coming off a great win in the last event. Talon Boland, also a winner over Ricky Carmichael this year. Can he do it again? Can Brock Sellards do it again? Number 27, Brock Sellards, though, is riding with a shoulder injury he received in the off week. Ricky Carmichael, our points leader, as you see here over Brock Sellards. Michael Brandis, number 5 on the list, is not racing today because of an injury in practice at Millville. He is still not recovered from that injury. Moto number 1, all set to go. 30-second card is sideways. Can Ricky Carmichael get a better start here today? Whoa, he goes up near the edge. And it's David Pingree, number 60 on the Primal Suzuki, that got the whole shot, but coming out of the turn was Ricky Carmichael. Carmichael finally gets a good start after having all kinds of problems in the last 3 races.
Somebody going wide out there, looks like one of the split fire riders. Carmichael had the perfect line, getting into the corner, was able to hold it tight, came out with the whole shot as Pingree drifted a little bit wide, but I'm surprised as wide as Pingree drifted, he was still able to hang on to second, so he was on the power hard.
Tough luck break for Nick Way, who was off the track. That was number 23 you saw there, David, who had to go off the track. You're right, it was a split fire pro circuit rider. Way coming off that victory, but a slow start here today. Ricky Carmichael right where he wants to be to win a championship.
It's an odd thing when you've been getting lousy starts, especially as many as he's had lately, and all of a sudden you get a hole shot and it feels like your first national and you're like, what do I do? It's a little bit of an adjustment to have the track all to yourself. You're the first guy to hit the watered section. You see him looking back, see who's going to challenge him, if anybody.
That's Pingree, number 60. Pingree getting good starts lately, as we said before. Is not really putting a challenge to Ricky. Whoa, what a speed shot. Ricky now just trying to break out and leave the pack. Going into the last 4 races this season, he had terrific reason for great confidence, winning 13 of 16 motos and 7 out of 8 rounds. But then the bad starts started going from excitement for the fans to see him come through the crowd to crashes. And then it started working on his mind, David.
Especially if it happens for too long. Anybody can recuperate from a couple of bad weeks, but he was just getting bad starts every time and then trying to make up for it, going so hard in the opening lap or the first couple of laps, going down more, and then you have a confidence problem.
So he doesn't have to worry about it right now out in front. That would be 1 point more than he needs to sew up the title if he stays there. So Ricky Carmichael is our leader. Pingree, Ramsey, VOHLAND, and Brock Sellards the top 5. We'll be right back. AMA Motocross is brought to you by Honda Motorcycles and the 1999 Honda Race Team. Honda, ride red. And by Championship Motocross featuring Ricky Carmichael. So real you'll be picking your teeth out of the dirt for the PlayStation game console. Now available wherever video games are sold. We're back to the action here in the opening moto of the 125s from Binghamton, upstate New York. The real battle right now is for third. Talon Vohland, FMF Honda, Nathan Ramsey making a little mistake there on the pro circuit machine. Vohland moving into third place behind Pingree.
That worked perfect, just staying out in the loam. Usually you want to get down and protect the inside. That's what Ramsey was trying to do. But you can see all the loam they have here. That's what Talon took advantage of. This is the best condition I've ever seen this racetrack.
So it's Ricky Carmichael, Pingree, and Vohland the top three with Ramsey in fourth.
Watch Ramsey. He's going to go to the inside. It's the logical line, but as Vohland goes to the outside, that's where all the loose dirt, all the loam's gotten pushed wide. Look at that big berm out there. So as soon as Ramsey gets on the gas, it's a rock base with no traction. Vohland hooks up, makes the pass.
Boy, I can see what you mean about the lack of rocks right now, David. It's impossible, of course, like in Unadilla, to get all your rocks out of that property in upstate New York, but they've done a tremendous job on the surface area. Here's Talon Vohland now, working on second place. Pingree trying to hold on after the good hole shot start. Vohland moves into second.
That was tight. I didn't think he's going to have room, because Pingree could tell he was going to try to square him off right there, and I thought he didn't leave enough room between himself and the tree. Vohland just muscled his way in there like he always does and made it work.
Now can he catch RC, who was at the corner of the screen when you saw Vohland take that turn. RC was really putting the old throttle down to get away from these guys.
We still got him in his sights, though, and the way that another thing I like that they've done here is they've trimmed all the trees up. They did that at Mount Morris as well, so the spectators have a great view, and at times the riders have a better view, and they can see where the guy is they're trying to catch.
Nick Way trying to get back up into contention now as we see Andy Harrington, a privateer out of the San Diego area, El Cajon actually. And that's Ernesto Fonseca. Fonseca going to the outside to Harrington, and Fonseca, can he clamp it? Ernesto Fonseca has moved up another notch. Here's Casey Lytle, currently in 7th place, a teammate of Ernesto's on that Yamaha of Troy team.
He's next in line. Ernesto's moving up. Way's right there pushing these guys. And Harrington is probably a little bit tough to pass because these guys don't ride around him that much, but when he gets a good start, he's so aggressive. At times he can be all over the place, but you got to hand it to him. You got to be aggressive. Look at him here, just trying to come right back. He doesn't give up.
Harrington is thought of by many to be a very promising potential for the future. And look at this. Harrington bumping with Ernesto Fonseca.
He's not intimidated. But that little confrontation they had allows Way to get up in there, and now Fonseca can see him.
So Nick Way, taking advantage of the break, is now sandwiched between the two. Take another look at the move.
Well, what's going to happen here is Fonseca is going to have to use that big berm. He's squaring it. He's going to try to come straight back up the hill, but Harrington's on that slick stuff. I mean, their lines are just going to collide. There's nothing he can do about it. He doesn't mean to hit him. He just couldn't turn sharper. When they hit each other, they lost a little bit of momentum, and then Nick Way got a little advantage and made another pass. These guys are still having a great battle, and they still got Lilo right up there in their sights.
Bump and run action. Back in the pack as Ricky Carmichael still holds a good lead on Talon Vohland.
That was a classic.
Yellow flag. That's Casey Lytle who went down, and now Fonseca goes down. Harrington gets by. There's RONCADA number 22.
So just about the whole Yamaha of Troy team gets held up right there. Eric Kehoe is about 100 yards from where that just took place, going, come on, guys, don't mess each other up. That's exactly what happened.
Ernesto Fonseca back up and running. That's Travis Preston right in front of him, one of the more promising privateers on the circuit, also getting by Fonseca when he went down. But Nick Way now is starting to rip.
Oh, he's going fast all right, but the problem is although he was tough and was in the right place at the right time to take advantage of 7th place, there's no 6th place isn't even in his sight. So he's going to have to be patient here and keep clicking off fast laps, hopefully, and get somebody in his sights so he can charge and try to pass before the race is over. But
or before Carmichael catches up with him.
To lap him,
as it looks like Carmichael, the way he's running right now, is going to catch quite a few riders. Ricky Carmichael is leading our opening moto.
Look at his pace. Look how fast he gets around that corner. Feet on the pegs, all the way up and over that jump, which is, doesn't even use it as a jump. It's just another little bump in the way.
Carmichael looking flawless out in front, is starting to just check out. And we'll be back with more of the 125 first photo from Broome, Tioga, right after these words. We're back with more motocross action from upstate New York. It is round 11, and Ricky Carmichael, #1 on the Split Fire Pro Circuit machine, is looking to nail down his 3rd consecutive 125 championship. And that's in 3 years.
He's making it look easy, too. The lines he's chosen. There's Preston, it looks like, and...
Is that Fonseca again? No, that's Casey Lytle again.
That's the same corner he had problems before. A little off-camber section before they come around to the mechanics area. This time, at least he didn't take out a teammate.
RONCADA now in 7th, while we're away, just passing Nick Way. And Way, it looked like had it pretty easy there for a while, David, but certainly not now.
Well, I thought he might just... It'd be tough for him to stay focused because he didn't have anybody up the track to look for. Just focus on lap times from his mechanic, try to ride hard and get a better start in the next moto, but now he's got RONCADA there to chase.
RONCADA trying to prove himself before the season's over because he was hampered by injuries most of the year. But he's looking like past RONCADA form, really, with 2 second places in the last 3 races, a 4th in the one at Washougal, also getting a whole shot. He's gained a certain amount of consistency, David.
He has, and it's a good time to do it towards the end of the season. You want that not just for contracts or for your own deals, but just for your confidence going into the next year and some of the off-season races.
They're starting to catch up with Brock Sellards, we mentioned. Sellards, with the weekend off last week, went over the bars at Frozen Ocean, dislocated his shoulder. Let's check in with Davey.
Dean, how bad is that shoulder hurting Brock?
I went back to the hospital last night, and the doctor said he may have separated his collarbone from his shoulder blade. And so he said he can't really hurt it any worse. It's going to be sore, so he's going to have to ride under pain. So we're just trying to salvage points. I know he's sore right now because he's in his corner. He keeps wanting to lay it down, but I just told him halfway, just help him hold on not so tight, you know, have a loose grip, and he should make it. Just try to salvage some points.
The only rider that Ricky hasn't eliminated, but sometimes those races for fun on the off weeks can turn into tragedy.
Yep, and the practice these guys do during the week, especially if you get a few of them together and daring each other to do things and jump stuff, I mean, that always goes on.
And RONCADA easily gets by Brock Sellards.
Didn't put up much of a fight there. I mean, this is salvaging points, and salvaging points doesn't mean trying to go the pace of RONCADA.
RONCADA and Fonseca re-upping with Yamaha of Troy. They'll be back next year. Brock Sellards, he's already re-signed with FMF.
It's a courageous performance right here from Brock. He's trying to salvage second in the point standings. He's got to go out there and just tough it through. It's got to hurt, though. I mean, I never had a shoulder injury, but plenty of injuries where I had to ride in pain with my feet and so forth, and it's no fun.
David Pingree still holding on to Talon Boland for 2nd and 3rd. Pingree has had many ups and downs over his career, but it looks like it's back on the upswing now.
It just started for me, just trail riding with my father up in the hills in Montana. You know, I had a Weisinger, a little Pee-wee.
That's not easy to do. His talent is 100% everywhere, every lap, and he's proven he's got the speed. He's as fast as Carmichael, if not faster at times, and Pingree has closed the gap, so Pingree is riding well.
Talon Vohland, his exciting self once again in second place. Just off signing a 2-year deal with Pro Circuit. That was a surprise to a lot of people. FMF brought him over from Europe. Really gave him an opportunity to get back to his homeland, and then all of a sudden he looked so good this season, was so marketable and so good for the sport that he had other people interested in his services. Here's our top 10. Carmichael, Vohland, Pingree. The top 3 remains. Ernesto Fonseca back up into the top 10. We'll be right back with more 125 action. Time running out here in the opening moto, but time is not running out. Polish up the crown for this guy. He's on his way to winning his 3rd 125 National Championship. An insurmountable lead for Ricky Carmichael here in the opening moto. Acknowledged by the fans. They're cheering him on as he nears the final lap.
Look how fast he's going. Final lap pace is still fast enough to maintain a lead over Vohland and Pingree, who are involved in a huge battle, pushing each other. They've gained slightly, but I think it's only because RC's let them.
Yeah, and there's several riders out on the track that RC has passed. They're just happy to be on the same track with him.
It's always, in my first years as a professional, to see Hannah and Howerton and those guys coming by to lap me, it was always like, wow. And I try to follow him and do the same line for a couple of laps, or actually a couple of turns till he disappeared.
It's impossible to compare different eras. But from what we see of Ricky Carmichael over the past 3 seasons, he has to be at least one of your top candidates as the greatest of all time in the 125 ranks.
Sure, that's been the talk, of course, with him closing in on the record. If he can get it the final race at Delmont, he will tie Mark Barnett. And I actually kind of like it that way, because if he was to win it and get one more win, if people would say, oh, well, Carmichael's the greatest, and I don't necessarily agree. I think a lot of people will fight that forever. It's a different era. You can't compare Joe Namath with Joe Montana. It's just different now.
But he's the best there is in the 125 ranks right now, and what a triumphant feeling it must be for this young man after, over the last couple of races, having some real problems getting himself up off the dirt. The checkers and the championship for Ricky Carmichael. Talon Vohland in second place. Pingree holds on to 3rd, with Ramsey and McCormick rounding out our top 5. Let's go down to Davey.
Well, Ricky, that's it. Congratulations, 3 championships.
I tell you what, Davey, it feels good. Man, I've had like an upset stomach all day, and halfway through the race, I kind of had to go to the bathroom, so I slowed down, and it was just like torture, man. It's like, whew, it feels great, though. I'll tell you what, from the help from Kawasaki and Pro Circuit, I tell you what, and all my sponsors, Fox, Oakley, THQ, Championship Motocross, and I'll tell you what, man, this feels great. Charlie Designs, and I'm ecstatic, man. It's been waiting. It's kind of been a struggle the last couple weekends, and it feels great.
Well, this might feel a little bit better. I'm going to bring in Duke Finch right here from the AMA.
Ricky, congratulations on your 3-peat.
Thank you. Thanks. I'll tell you what, it feels good. I like to thank Mazda, too. I also got a Mazda truck. Bridgestone Tires, everybody who helped me get here, man. My mom and dad, and my mechanic, Chad Watts, Johnny O, and I'll tell you what, man, this is great.
Finally, one more moto to go.
One more, I'll tell you what. I was out in California last week testing, and Mitch was busting his butt, and we got a bike that is just hauling butt, and I think he proved that by pulling the whole shot. It feels great.
Well, with still a record on the line, you know he's not going to mail in the second moto, and there's one guy that's not going to let him, and that's Talon Vohland. Let's go back down to Davey now in that winner's area.
Talon, good ride.
Thank you. You know, I started off 4th, and Ricky obviously got the whole shot. You know, I told everybody and predicted I'd be back at this race, and I haven't got as much training as I'd like, but I really worked hard when I could, and I think that it's paid off. The only thing I lacked is still a little bit of time on the bikes. My arms pumped up in the middle of that moto. I felt my speed was the same. And, you know, next moto, these last 2 races, it's not like I'm racing for the championship now, so I'm not giving up for anything. I'm going for it. I'm letting it all hang out. So I hope next moto to get off with them. I'm going to pass them.
The never give up talent VOHLAND, that's for sure. David Pingree put in quite a race. In fact, it was his best moto finish of the season. So let's go right back down to Davey.
Well, David, I got to tell you, that might have been your best outdoor ride ever. Congratulations, you got on the podium.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It feels real good, Davey. It's been a long time since I've had a finish that I've been happy with. You know, Troy was 5th overall, but still wasn't the moto results I was looking for, you know, so this is definitely a step in the right direction.
You were racing with Talon Bowling out there that whole moto. I actually started to think, well, he might get a little tired, but in the end, I think you actually had the speed.
Yeah, I felt strong, you know, I didn't get tired at all, and towards the end I actually found a few lines and closed back up on him, and I wasn't able to really put a move on him, but definitely held the speed all the way to the end.
How do you feel about the last moto?
I feel fine, you know, I didn't get tired at all, and, you know, I went back to California. I've been staying in Montana all summer, so I think getting back to the heat kind of helped me just get used to the strains of doing a 35-minute motos.
Welcome back to Binghamton as we get set for our second round of motos. The 125s are at the gate now, starting to prepare their areas. Brock Sellards hoping for a better finish than he did in the first moto, but he's still feeling the effects of that shoulder injury. Nathan Ramsey, Ricky Carmichael has already won the #1 plate in the first moto. Let's take another look, David, at the track map.
Well, here we go into the second set of motos, and what I find interesting is that the track, the rocks really haven't come up. It looks like they've dumped just millions of truckloads of potting soil in this place, and it's just beautiful. This is what it looked like this morning. This is our helmet rider, Carter Gurney. These guys have to deal with things all day long. Shadows, hay bales. Right there, it gives our camera the drop test. These guys go through shadows, the track gets rougher, some rocks pop up, and right there, you couldn't see a hay bale, hit it and crash.
Ricky Carmichael, despite the fact that he's nailed down the #1 plate for the 3rd consecutive year, still has a lot of motivation. He wants to tie Mark Barnett's win record, a career win record of 25 victories. And so he's gunning for this one at the start. RONCADA, pretty good start, but then fades back. And Pingree once again. The Ping gets the hole shot, number 60. That's his 2nd in a row.
Looked like Carmichael was going to have a good advantage by letting off a little bit early and taking the inside, but it just didn't work out. His own teammate got around him, and for the second time, Pingree drifted wide, but this time he got the lead coming out.
Ramsey and Carmichael battling for 2nd as some riders back in the pack go flying. And look, yes, it's Ernesto Fonseca. This is the 3rd time he's been down today.
That was right in the middle of the pack, and I have to think that he got hit by a couple of riders. He was just buried in there. It looks like they got together, and he went down just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Battle for 2nd underway. Pingree and Ricky Carmichael as Nathan Ramsey has taken the lead. So it's Ramsey, Pingree, and RC. And that's Stefan RONCADA, who had a very commendable first moto there in 4th.
This is where it's tough for Ricky to stay motivated. He's already wrapped up the title. He's probably a little bit distracted. Doesn't seem to distract him right there. He makes an outside pass on Pingree, outbreaks him into the corner. I've been in a position a couple times where you wrap a title in a moto and then you kind of just feel like, well, you know, what's the point? And then the rest of the day, and these other guys lift it up a little bit where you lose something.
Good to see Ernesto Fonseca, Yamaha of Troy rider, back up and away. Let's take another look at the crash.
Well, then they get together right there. Fonseca falls right in front of 2 other riders, gets hit in the back. Kind of looks like he got hit in the head there. Fortunate to be able to ride away from that.
Meanwhile, out in front, Nathan Ramsey and Ricky Carmichael. Carmichael, a little bump and run there in the corner, cuts to the inside, and it's Ricky Carmichael once again in the lead. He is back to top form. You know, does it surprise you that Ricky Carmichael hasn't got a hole shot all year? I mean, he's been in good position most of the time. But his last hole shot was the first moto right at this track last year.
That does surprise me because he does everything so well. And if he does have a weakness, he goes right to work on it. He goes home and just stews over the fact that he's not able to have enough corner speed or the starts. And he seems to always be able to master it. The starts have really been a problem for him.
Suzuki leaderboard, Ricky Carmichael, of course, right up there, has not pulled away yet from Nathan Ramsey. RONCADA now starting to put some pressure on Pingree in 3rd.
It's a good opportunity for Ramsey to just watch his teammate, try to anchor himself into a situation more like during the week. And he's able to maybe hang with him for a little while, change his focus a little bit, not worry about the pressures of the race, just try to hang with him and learn, pull away from the rest of the pack.
Ramsey with 1 podium on the year. That was a 3rd place at Unadilla, a 4th place in the first moto. So Ramsey's in good position to get back on that podium.
He's going to have to hustle. Look at this battle. Pingree and RONCADA just going at it.
Pingree on the Primal Suzuki, the yellow bike, with RONCADA cutting to the inside. Yamaha Troy gives a little rub there, a little push. And RONCADA makes the move into 3rd.
He had so much speed, he's able to pre-jump, make a plateau out of the top of that hill, jumped all the way to the downside, right back on the power, doing it all with short sleeves. These guys keep cutting him shorter and shorter. Doesn't have anything out there.
Another look at RONCADA.
Well, Pingree had been pushed all the way up that hill, so he come down to the corner and he was really forced to go wide. RONCADA set him up. Just took about 4 feet of racetrack away. Got right to the inside. Didn't really mean to make contact there, but he had to make the pass. Here he comes again, more contact. He means business, this moto. Makes that pass too.
So he cuts in front of Ramsey. All of a sudden he's in 2nd place. He might be in a mood to test Ricky Carmichael here in the 2nd moto.
Whoa, Ramsey, what a save. Got sidewise. I think right now he's going, how'd I do that?
Casey Johnson right in front of him. Pingree got by as well. So Pingree, Johnson, and Ramsey, the order here. And still out in front, Ricky Carmichael with RONCADA starting to make a move on him. We'll be right back.
Here's another look at the save by Nathan Ramsey. He starts to get sideways right there. I think he thought he was going to lose it. Then the back end caught something. He's able to ride away. Lost a couple positions, but that could have been a lot worse. Here it is from another angle. This was so good. We got to show you every angle we have.
Bent leg slide there almost.
Yep, the back wheel just broke the berm away, and then all of a sudden there was just too much dirt. It caught, threw him back high side, and he was able to stay on.
So great control by Nathan Ramsey keeps him in the thick of things here in the battle for 5th.
You always like to have a little bit of time to recover from something like that.
Squeezing to the inside on Pingree is Casey Johnson. And look out, here comes Nathan Ramsey on Ping.
I guess he doesn't need any time to recover. I thought he was going to be still worrying about what happened in this corner 1 lap to go. He's got Talon Bolin on his tail. He goes right after David Pingree and makes the pass.
Johnson, Ramsey, Pingree, and VOHLAND is right at the rear of Pingree now.
These are fun races to be involved in. You can be in here mixing it up with all these guys. There's quite a bit of respect and trust. And these guys get bar to bar out there, as you would say, Art, and you have to have that trust. You get some guy in there, you're not really sure what he's going to do. You don't go side by side off a jump with him through the air. These guys all know each other. They know every move.
For those of you turning in late, Ricky Carmichael won the first 125 moto as well as the #1 plate for the season. Oh, banging!
There's a move I think Pingree wasn't ready for, but he stayed up.
VOHLAND making the pass.
Entering that corner, the big plateau has a jump right after it. Nathan Ramsey is jumping the plateau and the next jump. A lot of air time. He's putting about 2 bike lengths on everybody through there.
Well, Pingree's having a hard time now. He's sliding backwards. Here comes Smith of FMF Honda. And Danny out of Eagle, Idaho, has his sights set on David Pingree.
That is a tricky section right there. You see Bolin trying to jump up over the top, but as soon as you start down the other side, you start hitting braking bumps, then it turns into an off camber.
And here's our leader, Ricky Carmichael.
He's pushing it to the limit.
He is, but he's not made the breakaway in the last 2 laps that we saw in the first moto.
No, and
here's the reason right there.
RONCADA is all over him. RONCADA proved at Troy that he has the speed to beat Carmichael, and he's trying to prove it here again today.
Ramsey getting a little squirrely once again as Talon Bolin looking for opportunity right behind him. And there's McCormick battling with Smith now.
Smith planned that out perfect.
McCormick not too long ago. Got that podium at Washougal and won the second moto on his home track.
He came right in and just dove underneath Danny Smith. Danny Smith knew that he'd already left the door open, nothing he could do about it. He was able to get him right back. Sometimes when you work real hard, you're in McCormick's position, you get around the guy, and they get you right back, it kind of throws you all out of whack. It messes with your focus, and it's hard to get him back again.
McCormick signing a multi-year deal with Planet Honda, so he'll be back next year. And Ricky Carmichael, what more can you say about Ricky as he goes to try and tie Mark Barnett's career 125 record before going exclusively to 250s. He'll be under the Team Kawasaki banner next year, leaving Mitch Payton. Let's go down to the mechanics area. Davey Coombs.
Chad, are you surprised the way RONCADA is sticking with Ricky?
Nah, RONCADA's been on a mission the last few races. He's actually had some of the fastest lap times in practice, and he's riding really well. They're clicking off 219s to 221s, which only a couple of the 250s done 219s.
So even after you guys won a championship, Ricky's picked up the pace in the second moto?
Party ain't over yet. We still got another race.
Typical attitude of Chad Watts. He's just as competitive, I think, as Ricky is.
Yeah, he is. It's part of why these guys have so much fire and attack everybody and put aggressive moves on these guys. They don't really have that much like for anybody they have to race against. They just want to annihilate the field and make winning the next week that much easier because of all the intimidation that they establish.
Smith and McCormick still going at it.
McCormick hasn't given up yet. He's all over him. Danny Smith is dealing with the pressure. Seems to be able to cover all the lines. He crossed over in front of McCormick back there before they entered the uphill, and that tends to make the guy that's pursuing back off just a little bit because he doesn't want to have his front wheel taken out.
McCormick with a 7th place finish in the first moto. Trying to improve that position here in the second.
This has been a popular place to pass down the inside, but Danny Smith's got it covered.
Covered it up real well, didn't he?
Actually gets a little bit of breathing room there because McCormick bobbled slightly, but it seems like McCormick, whenever he's made a slight mistake, he's been able to close that gap again. In the meantime, there's a lot of rocks still out here on this racetrack, even though they got rid of most of them, that he's absorbing with the front of his body and his face. The sooner you can make the pass, the better.
You had a lot of fun at this track. We mentioned a little bit. Whoa, Casey Johnson. Casey Johnson went down. And so Talon VOHLAND becomes the opportunist there.
That was too bad. He just came out of that corner. The front wheel drifted over the berm. All that loose loam cushion gets pushed to the outside. He was riding up kind of high in it. Front wheel just dropped over it, and he lost it.
Ricky Carmichael continues to lead. He has been unable to shake Stefan RONCADA in 2nd place. We'll be right back with more 125 action in our second moto of the day right after these words. For this week's Suzuki Flashback, we look at the 125 National from Broome Tioga Sports Center in 1987. The 125 class had defending series champion number 1 Mickey Diamond battling with Suzuki-mounted rider number 7 George Holland in the first moto of the day. Number 15 Guy Cooper riding the pack would almost go down and would finish out of the top 3. Diamond held off Holland for the top spot to win the first moto. The second stanza started out with number 12 Rick Ryan taking the early lead. Ryan, known as the only privateer to ever win Daytona earlier that year. Holland would pass Ryan later and take the lead and the victory in Moto 2. This was Holland's 3rd national win in 1987. Broome Tioga, Binghamton, New York. And sometimes the great battles aren't for the lead. Right here, Brock Sellards cuts to the inside on McCormick, gives him a little brush and says, hey, I'm taking this spot.
Well, McCormick had spent so much time and energy trying to get around Danny Smith. All of a sudden, Sellards sneaks in there and gets him. So now they talk about the wind in your sails. I think his is gone.
Our Suzuki stopwatch, there's only 2.5 seconds between 1st and 2nd place. Ricky Carmichael and Stefan RONCADA, but look at the clock go as we have not seen the 3rd place rider come around the bend yet. There she blows.
That's a substantial lead.
About 25 seconds worth. Talon Vohland in third.
And remember, Talon Vohland said he was going to pull out all the stops, not hold anything back, go for it. He's riding as hard as he can. He's that far down. That shows you the pace of RONCADA and Carmichael. Start helped a little bit, but they've still been able to pad that lead.
And behind Vohland, we zero in on Nathan Ramsey.
That's the corner where he had his wild ride. He has still managed to keep on the pace. Unfortunately, everyone's running about the same pace and he's not moving up.
Talon Vohland will be a teammate of the guy right behind him next year on the Split Fire Pro Circuit team. Ramsey did a lot of maturing this season. It was kind of a iffy year. It was time for him to progress, and by golly, he stepped up and won the 125 West Supercross title. McCormick still won't let Brock Sellards off the hook.
He is still keeping enough pressure on him that he's got to worry about him a little bit. You can see the wind has picked up. There's only a 20% chance of rain when the day started. The last time I raced here in 1986, the weather conditions were very similar. The wind picked up, started to get kind of dark. It ended up raining the second moto so hard they cut the moto in half.
Well, it was supposed to rain earlier in the afternoon. Maybe we're going to have some raindrops finally.
You know that there's some special tires mounted up on spare wheels for that 250 moto coming up, just in case.
Yeah, it's not as easy as in road racing where you just pop one of those off either, though.
No, these guys are prepared. You got a little bit of time between motos and during the week. They have barometers and all kinds of gauges in the trucks. Tapped into the weather center. They usually stay ahead of the weather channel in the local area because you know they're always wrong anyway.
So while Ricky Carmichael tries to hold off Stefan RONCADA, it's Vohland, Ramsey, and Smith along with Sellards and McCormick giving us the show here for the second 125 moto. Matt Walker moving up to 14.
Sellards right here is actually starting to pick up the pace. So that injury, sometimes you get late in the day, you get good and warm, you start forgetting about the pain, and just the next guy you want to pass, you get on a roll.
Boy, what a leap by Ricky Carmichael.
It's a little shower from Fonseca, who had gone down actually off this jump they're approaching right here in the first lap. Beautiful, the way Carmichael, he hits that berm early, squares across and gets into the next one, misses all those rocks. The problem the guys are having is they try to make their corner on the off camber. Carmichael hits that berm early, cuts across.
Uh-oh, Casey Johnson again. His second fall of the race. He's trying to pick it up and get up into that top 5.
That's too bad. Kind of a weird place to go down too. At the bottom of the big downhill, big right-hand sweeper starting back up. He doesn't even have any time to recuperate. He's already got Chris Gosler breathing down his neck.
Gosler, a fast youngster whose dad is Ezra Luss mechanic on Team Honda. This is his first actual full year in the pro ranks, and he's gunning for a top 10 spot here, his best moto finish of the year.
Sellards still trying to close that gap for Danny Smith. And you can't convince me he's riding with an injury the way he looks right now. He seems like he's going full speed.
Well, believe me, he went flat at the Frozen Ocean on that fun race supposedly during the week off. As we reported on our Moto World on ESPN2, Ricky Carmichael, RONCADA Vohland in the top 3. Ramsey, Smith, Sellards, McCormick doing a good job. We'll be right back. Ricky Carmichael, our leader here in the second moto. What's new, right? This is the last lap, the white flag lap. RONCADA still not that far behind, but Ricky has really stepped it up.
You can tell by his pace right here in the final lap. He stepped it up, put it away to the point where he can afford to cruise a little bit right now, miss all the bumps. He just seems to have an answer for what anybody comes at him with. Now he's just wheeling around the track. Sure makes it look easy.
Look at that, 16th moto win coming up for Ricky Carmichael. Well, What's that, in 22 motos? 16 out of 22. Danny Smith went for a ride in the forest.
That reminds me of the same place Jeff Stanton went off the racetrack in his last ride here.
You never lost a moto in the 500s here.
No, but that was only 4 motos. But I like the way you put it. This sounds way better.
That's 4 for 4, partner.
Yeah, I only raced here 3 times. My first ride was on the 250, and I was dicing with Hannah, and he spit a rock back at me and broke my finger. And I didn't do so well that day, a couple of fourths or something. But I came back in 84 and then again in 86 on the 500. Had great battles with Ward and Brock Glover. And I can relate to the way Carmichael's feeling.
And for Ricky, this will be win number 24 on the career. He'll go next to Delmont, where he has never won.
He's won just about everywhere, hasn't he?
That's the only track he hasn't won on, Delmont.
I'm sure he knows about that. He's got to get that win to make that record perfect and to tie Barnett.
The checkers waving as Carmichael goes for a victory ride up the hill. Ricky Carmichael puts the capper on the afternoon. He's 1 for 1 once again. Stefan Roncada strutting his stuff, taking second place. VOHLAND third in the moto. Let's go down to Davey Combs.
Well, Ricky got the title in the first moto, but no backing off at all.
No, I'll tell you what, that was a fun moto. Stefan was riding good, and we were clocking off some good lap times, I think 2:19s, and I'll tell you what, that was a fun race. I'm glad that I got the championship out of the way that first moto. I was waiting for that, but you know, I'm happy. It was a good moto, and I was up there on the start again, so happy about that. It's a concrete pad, and I spun a little bit, but it was fun to get up there and battle.
You got 24 career national wins now. 1 more will tie with Mark Barnett's all-time record, and it'll probably be your last 125 national. Does that mean a lot to you?
I'll tell you what, I've had a great 125 career, and it's a bummer that I couldn't break Barnett's record, but he called me last week and said he would have been bummed if I would have beat it, but he'd be happy to see me right next to him. So I'm happy.
3 titles. Congratulations, Rick. For my dollar, the best 125 rider ever lived.
Thanks a lot, Davey. I tell you what, it feels great. I couldn't do it without the support of Kawasaki. I tell you what, they've been helping me a lot with that poor 250 season that I had, and you know, Pro Circuit, Fox, THQ, Oakley, Bell Helmets, Troy Lee Designs, Alpine Star Boots. My mechanic, Chad Watts, he did a great job on this thing, and you know, my parents for getting me here, and I'd like to thank Johnny O'Mara for helping me out the whole series. That's always, you know, he's always there with me, and just for all the fans coming out, supporting me through my 125 career, just I hope you stick with me if I don't do so good in the 250.
One of the great riders of all time in the 125 ranks has taken his 6th sweep right here today. Talon VOHLAND and RONCADA also on the podium. As we go back down to Davey now, let's hear from Talon.
Talon, what happened to you on the start that time?
Well, I came out of the gate, you know, really great, and I was right next to Stefan Roncada, who I knew would be fast, and Ricky. And I felt I had a handlebar on it, but I missed the 4th gear, and I was really struggling. When you're going down a start like that, you can't hear your engine because everybody else is there too, so you're not sure if you've caught it or not. By the time I realized I hadn't caught it, those guys had got by me, so then I had to settle back, made some aggressive moves, got right up front again, but then in a corner, when you're right aggressive like that, sometimes things happen for the better and sometimes for the worse. And I ran into another rider and went off the track, and then I was back where I started again. So then I settled in, calmed down, and just worked my way up to my best position. These guys, you know, when they got to get off the start, you got to get off with them or they're gone. So I feel that I'm very happy and I'm back where I was, you know, go to the next race and maybe I'll get the whole shot. I haven't got 1 whole shot this year, so I got to get one.
Well, you got 1 more race to also catch Brock Sellers in that battle for the runner-up spot in the 125 championships. It's going to come down to Steel City.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really not thinking about that. I mean, I was only thinking about winning once the title was gone. I don't care if I'm 10th or 2nd. I mean, obviously, I always try my best out there, and I want to win races. That's the most important thing.
By the way, next week, you got Carmichael and Coyote.
Yeah, you know, I'm fired up for that. There's no way I'm going to let that guy beat me. And I want to beat Ricky, too, so we'll see what happens.
That could be an interesting showdown with Coyote there and Delmont. Ricky Carmichael now 118-point lead. Ramsey moves into the top 5 with Brandis not racing today because of the injury. It was a Ricky Carmichael year, just as it's been for 3 straight seasons. Winning the opener with a 1-1 sweep at Glen Helen. After 4 consecutive victories, the rain, the mud, and the crashes at Budds Creek, a 6th place. Then 3 more wins, including Troy, Ohio. Then he overcame a rash of bad starts and crashes to win once again the #1 plate.